Hi everyone, welcome to Late Night Stacks. My name is Gökhan and in this video I'm going to talk about Omicron variant as well as vaccine stacks such as Moderna, BioNTech and Novavax. Is Omicron variant a natural vaccine and end the pandemic? When we will reach the herd immunity, or is it possible at all? Is the party over for the vaccine stacks and the time to sell off? By the way, we are talking about these topics almost every day on Patreon and you can join us and find the link down below the video. Before we start, I want to show you the S&P 500 P/E ratio versus historical average since 1950s. As you see, in 2000, the P ratio reached the record level and was above 127% average. Last month, the P ratio reached 96% above average, and now it is very close to internet bubble levels. S&P 500 P ratio is about 30 and the average is 15. I showed you this chart because some people think that the vaccine stocks are overvalued. So, in my opinion, the actual risk is there. Experts say Omicron may bring a level of herd immunity, but not for long and likely at a terrible cost. Herd immunity generally occurs when a large portion of the population is immune and the virus or bacteria can find a host within which it can reproduce. Approximately 94% of people must be immune in order to successfully halt transmission. But the problem with herd immunity, and particularly with COVID-19 virus, is that it is likely time sensitive. We always start seeing declining antibodies in a few months out. Not only is the immunity conferred time limited, it may also not protect against other mutations of the coronavirus. An infection with this particular variant doesn't guarantee protection against future variants. In my opinion, reaching out to herd immunity seems almost impossible. The timing is very important and we face all the time new variants. As long as COVID-19 is able to mutate, lasting immunity is likely off the table. If yet another mutation or variant of concern surges that more completely evades the antibodies people have built up, we start all over. So it's a kind of very risky proposition to be saying, let's go for it, let's get herd immunity. Everybody gets infected and we will be done. There is also a very real downside of the natural herd immunity, which is that a lot of people are going to get infected and just by sheer numbers could end up in the hospital and dying. That's why we are never sort of relied on herd immunity as the strategy to get out of the pandemic. There is a cost to it. People think, oh, Omicron, it's no big deal. It is a big deal. If you are not vaccinated, Omicron is a big deal for you. As you remember, at the beginning of pandemic, UK tried out that way. It didn't work out and any other country didn't try it again. If you are immunized or boosted, it doesn't mean that it can't be transmitted to somebody else who is vulnerable. Long-term effects of COVID are still a concern. Getting immunized is basically a weapon against this virus. Many health experts say the best way to achieve some level of immunity is through vaccinations. I see Omicron as our kind of final warning shot. If the US doesn't do something drastic and permanent, COVID will mutate and produce a variant of high consequence, which means one that is totally resistant to the vaccines, therapeutics, and even detection through currently available testing. He believes the US needs to achieve a minimum threshold of having 60-70% of the population vaccinated across all groups. I don't think it will be easy with the vaccine opposites. Omicron acts as a natural vaccine. Experts say notion rooted in pandemic fatigue. Experts have dismissed the claim of the Omicron variant of coronavirus being a natural vaccine as a dangerous idea by irresponsible people who don't take long COVID into account. An epidemiologist in India urged people to stay away from this misinformation, saying there have been deaths and hospitalizations due to the Omicron variant. Compared to vaccination, natural infection cannot protect the population against any variant. Proponents of herd immunity are saying it again that Omicron would provide herd immunity. Evidence matters, not options, he said. And he was cautioned about the long-term effects of the disease. From my side, the question is, if we even reach the herd immunity against Omicron, how about the other variants? And how long it will last? Meanwhile, in China, the country reports nation's first community spread of Omicron. China tries to zero tolerance approach against Omicron, but it seems almost impossible. We will probably see huge outbreaks in upcoming months. That may cause BioNTech's COVID-19 vaccine approval in China. COVID. Israel Omicron spike could bring herd immunity but with risks. Nahman Esh said the country will pay a price for this and he wanted to see herd immunity achieved via vaccinations instead. On Sunday, he said a fourth COVID-19 vaccine will be offered to people over 60 as well as medical staff. The price of herd immunity is very many infections and that may end up happening. The number need to be high to reach herd immunity. It's something that is possible, he said. But again, they highlight the vaccination. And in addition to that, the herd immunity is not guaranteed. We have to be very cautious with this, particularly in light of our experience over the past 2 years, in which we saw people who have recovered to be reinfected. Variant-specific herd immunity won't bring anything in my opinion. BioNTech chief says Europe could achieve herd immunity in summer. This article was written in April last year. After that, we saw Delta variant and Omicron. Now, in Europe, we face a lot of cases, hospitalizations, and lockdowns. So ending up this pandemic won't be so easy. The problem is the timing. To end this pandemic, we have to vaccinate all the world almost at the same time. That's why I am more cautious than optimistic. Please also leave your comments down below the video. Let's have a look at Moderna. Last week we saw $207 stock price on Thursday, and on Friday the volume was less than a half of the average. Being honest, this stock price didn't seem possible to me. After listing on S&P 500 index, what I previously showed you, the stock price should be at least over $300. The average S&P 500 P ratio is about 30 and this company has a P ratio of 11. In addition to that, huge upside potential. At BioNTech, the situation is more ridiculous. We saw $200 stock price last week and its market cap is about $51 billion. In addition to that, its P ratio was about 6. Until the end of this year, BioNTech will very probably get about $40–45 billion in revenues. When we compare its market cap with sales, it makes almost 2. Because last year they got probably about $20 billion in revenues, and this year will similar. It is very unbelievable that such a great company has just $50 billion market cap. When we have a look at Novavax, the stock price partly recovered last week and closed at $126. The volume was higher than the average on Friday and we may in a bullish trend. Novavax is a latecomer but has huge potential also. Like BioNTech, its price to sales ratio is about 2. This stock is highly manipulated and people buy and sell according to trends. I already talked about in details in a previous video about these stocks. Please check this video for further information. I hope I could help you to make the situation more clear. If you liked the video, please give a like and don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Arrivederci.